So I debated whether I was going to cover this for a couple of reasons. Number one, I don't really cover like all of the drama that people go over. And number two, this one is very, very polarizing. So I didn't know whether I was going to cover this one or not. But I am for two reasons. Number one, I want to try to give a very leveled response. I'm going to try to not jump on one side or the other, just look at the facts that are given. And this involves something that I've been involved with for 16 years now, 14 years, 15 years, something like that. And that is the gaming community, and specifically the Call of Duty community. If you didn't know, what we're talking about here is obviously Dr. Disrespect and the allegations against him. And now, yesterday, he finally did a live stream and addressed all of these allegations. So I wanted to look at the section of the live stream where he kind of addresses these, watch through it, and then give you my opinion on what exactly is going on here. And a lot of people have opinions on opposite sides, so I'm going to look at one other thing from that as well, and then kind of just discuss the facts. I'm going to try to, again, not give my opinion just right out on this, but actually look at what is going on here and the facts of the matter without trying to get like all emotional about it or anything. So without further ado, let's ask the two-time what's up.
The public demanded to hear from the doc regarding the Twitch suspension.
Yeah, and a lot of people got to remember it wasn't just recent. This is like a long time coming.
Missed the point with my personal statement. Maybe it's time to tell my side of the story. Huh, champs? You see, there was a lawsuit pending, and as part of that arbitration, all parties were not allowed to speak publicly about the case.
Which, by the way, sucks for everyone. If either party is innocent, they can't say it. They can't be like, hey, listen, this is what we did. This is what's going on. Neither person can say it. So it sucks for Doc. And if it's the opposite situation where Doc really did something wrong and Twitch just wants to get it off their chest, they can't, which doesn't really seem like the case, because as far as we know, Twitch paid out Doc, which is already odd to begin with.
I respected those rules. My lawsuit against Twitch was eventually resolved, as you all know. But even then, as part of the settlement, all parties were still prohibited from speaking publicly about the case or the settlement. However, if one side violated that confidentiality, then the other side could respond. And again...
So based off of that, the doc should be able to say anything here. Anything about the case. If that is what the legal agreement is, that they broke their confidentiality, now he can respond. He should be able to say anything about said case.
Champs, again, I respected all the confidential obligations. But apparently Twitch's own disgruntled employees didn't feel the need to abide by those same obligations. Cody Connors.
Oh, just calls him out. Okay.
Ex-Twitch employee, wasn't even involved. Leaks Twitch's reported reason. Years later. Cody, why you...
Now, if you don't know what he's talking about there, I believe the exact things that he said was sexting a minor and planning to meet them via Twitch whisper chats. He might say that, he might not.
Why do this? What was the point? This was settled professionally. And you, knowing how black and white the internet is, you decided, you fucking rat, to leak.
So I said this opinion from the very beginning, not even now. Whether or not Doc did these things or not, the only reason why Cody Connors would do this is for attention. Unless he's like some moral high ground, born again, religious, I need to get this off my chest. But that didn't seem like the case, especially I believe he was the one that tried to sell concert tickets or stand-up tickets or something like that after he said this. So I already wasn't totally for what he was doing. It didn't really make any sense. And I think there was other ways of bringing this up if this is the case that Doc did something so horrible that it needed the attention. I just wanted to point that out because we'll get to the Doc side of things, but I don't think that part made a sense at all either.
The reported reason Twitch banned me in 2020. I mean, for what? Cody, why? Did you not know the repercussions from spewing lies about the two-time?
Once again,
Did
he
you not know the
specifically says
repercussions
lies.
of accusing me, Cody Connors? You see, you don't know shit, and it was obvious
Also, he's got to be careful there because that could be a threat if you take it to court.
from your tweet. You didn't have any firsthand knowledge of my dispute with Twitch. You said that I got banned from Twitch because
Here
I
it
was
is.
sexting a minor through Whisper's messages? Do you even know what the legal definition of sexting is? I do.
That in itself is a bad line.
And yeah, I used Twitch's Whispers, but trust me, I wasn't sexting anyone. You also said the word minor, Cody. I even made sure that word was emphasized in my statement, edited, etc., just to make sure these so-called journalists would pick up on it.
Whoa. Okay. So what he's saying here is that he put minor into his Twitter message that he sent out to the world and then removed it and then added it back in to see how journalists would respond to it. Sure, we'll go with that for a minute.
And boy, oh boy, did they ever, champs. When you and all these so-called journalists, Cody, fired off your tweets,
It's like going in and getting pulled into a police station for committing murder and then saying, oh, they were killed with a gun, weren't they? And the police were like, oh, we haven't said that yet. And then they're like, oh, I was just saying that to test you. Like it just, I don't understand that.
did any of you consider that the Twitch user may have been over the legal age of consent at the time of the messages? You didn't.
1 second. Let me roll that back for a sec. Let's just go here.
Journalists, Cody, fired off your tweets. Did any of you consider that the Twitch user may have been over the legal age of consent at the time of the messages?
The Twitch user was over the age of consent at the time of the messages. Now, what I read online before I watched this, and maybe he'll say this later on, is that the Twitch user was over the age of consent in the jurisdiction, leading us to believe that they were 16 or 17, but that's not even what he said here. Let's go on, and I will come back to that point, depending on what he says.
You didn't. Neither did any of these journalists, and neither did Twitch at the time of the ban. You also tried to tell the world that I was trying to meet up with this user at TwitchCon, but you're wrong. Let's set the record straight. I never intended to meet this user ever.
That's one thing that he said from the very beginning.
TwitchCon or anywhere else, and in fact, we never met in person ever. Your bullshit accusations gave false courage to other former Twitch employees to make shit up as well. I suspect all of you sort of planned and coordinated this attack.
Maybe
These
not.
big-time publications, these journalists, these various...
That I disagree with. Again, I'm trying not to give my opinion in here, but I don't think all of these news outlets got together and are like, let's trash this man. I think they saw a way to get views and get clicks. And I think the two-time Doc himself made it pretty darn easy with his response, because his response was horrible, essentially saying that, yeah, I did it and I don't care. At least that's what I took from it. But
outlets are sort of just gossip channels now, don't you think, champs? They act like they're just gossip channels now, without any real journalism and real research happening. They report on all this based on leaks from two former Twitch employees.
if you're a news outlet, I would love to know if any of you like actually reached out to Doc and said, we'd like your side of the story. We would like to talk to you. We'd like to interview you. I would guess a lot of them did. And the fact that Doc, to my knowledge, never got interviewed by any of these people. Either means they didn't reach out or he turned them down, which is bad on his side. But again, we don't know. I'm just saying.
One of whom was supposedly on the trust and safety team. If these anonymous sources worked on the trust and safety team at the time of my Twitch suspension in 2020, then you would hope they would tell the truth. But apparently that's just too much to ask. If these former trust and safety team members, and by the way, I know exactly who they are, actually had firsthand knowledge, then what they conveniently left out is, 1, Twitch's trust and safety team, the same employees that decided to ban me, internally admitted that the whisper messages were not sexting. And 2, Twitch's trust and safety team, the same
They admitted the messages were not sexting. So that was probably a part of the court case.
employees that decided to ban me internally acknowledged that the whispers did not constitute child sexual abuse material CSAM. I'll say it again.
That is some big legal terms.
Neither I nor the Twitch user exchanged any sexual graphic messages or images. Cody Connors and these other anonymous sources are trying to paint a picture that I was exchanging sexually explicit messages and photos with this Twitch user. That never happened. I even used the word inappropriate, purposely. And look at how it was defined by everyone.
Purposefully, but probably because they were inappropriate. But
Yes.
we'll come back to that.
Including these defaming articles. I'm sorry, but mutual bantering with inappropriate jokes taken out of context should have never led to me getting banned from Twitch in the first place. I mean, how would each of you look if all of your private
I know
DMs,
where he's going
your text
with this.
messages, your chats were looked at, dissected, and taken out of context by someone who's deliberately trying to find something inappropriate in those words? And this is not a situation where a victim publicly accuses someone of wrongdoing. That never happened here.
Okay, we'll come back to that point. But essentially what he's saying here is he sent messages to this person and they were inappropriate. Whether that was a joke or whether that was making a comment about them or how they looked or something like that, we don't know. The only way for us to know is if those were released. And from what I understand, if he has those messages because someone violated the agreement, he can show those. But keep in mind, he is not. Now, as far as public opinion side of things, my opinion's very specific on this. Doc, you are pushing 40. You're 30, pushing on 40. And you, I believe, have kids, or at least a kid, and you have a wife. If you're messaging someone who is, say, 16, say 17, say even 18, and you are a full-blown adult, should you be messaging someone at that age something that is going to make someone uncomfortable? Think if that was your kid or your kid's friend and they happen to be 16, 17, 18 at that point. Would you send that message to them? Now, again, I don't know what that message is, so maybe you would. But again, we don't know until that point. But when it comes to messaging someone of that age range, even all the way up to like 19, 20, and you're of that age, I see it as if you wouldn't message someone in your family or your child, something like that. Because if I had an 18-year-old child, there are certainly jokes that I would make to them. But there is a line there because of the age, because of the difference between you. And yeah, sure, it's a little bit different in that situation. I'm not going to say that, but just as a moral guideline, when you're a dad, when you're a husband, you probably shouldn't cross that line. And I think that's part of the public opinion, part of it. But again, we don't know what the message
We're
was.
talking
Could have been
about
completely
allegations that Twitch made against me as a half-baked reason for justifying their actions of
But again, saying the fact that, oh, if your messages got out there, there'd probably be some stuff that looked bad, right? And I do believe that. I do kind of agree with that, especially if taken out of context. Like, I've made jokes to friends that would look bad, even though they're not at all. But in it by itself, without any context, even a sentence that isn't a joke can look bad. That's what lawyers do in a lot of cases.
suspending and shutting down my channel. Allegations that Twitch made without even a legal analysis of whether the whisper messages were legal.
Oh, we getting fired up?
You see, I engage with my community. I engage with other streamers. And through Twitch Whispers, I communicate with Twitch users. Conversations that consisted of a variety of playing games and gaming politics, content creation, random stuff. This was the extent of my whispers with this Twitch user. On June 21st, 2020,
Wait, maybe he is going to
my ex-Twitch partner manager
no.
learned
I thought he was going to say what was in the messages.
Whispers with the Twitch user. And I say ex-partner manager because for years, this guy didn't do anything for me, my community, or my channel. For years. I'm talking no front page love. You're talking about the face of the platform, right? Literally. The face of the platform. And I know Champions Club remembers this. We got zero front page love on the website. He was never on my channel. He didn't follow me on Twitter. He wouldn't even inform me.
Yeah, so I stream on Twitch, but like, is that the partner's manager's job? Like, I don't know. I would assume so. I guess that kind of makes sense.
It's about Twitch rival tournaments. We're talking about the two-time Twitch rival tournament. Oh, I'm sorry. Would you want to play in it? We got zero support from this guy. And it was just so obvious that he carried a grudge against the two-time.
Okay.
So after we signed with Twitch in 2019, we asked for a new partner manager.
Fair.
And just a few months later, that ex-Twitch partner manager is directly involved with getting me banned. Coincidence?
Well, yes and no. Like, I fully agree with Doc that this guy probably didn't like him. But at the same time, if he already didn't like him and you did something wrong, of course, number one, if legally he worked with Doc, he's going to get interviewed. So that's not a coincidence. But there's also, like, he probably didn't like you. He probably didn't.
The Twitch user tells the ex-Twitch partner manager that they do not want to report anything to Twitch. I'll repeat that sentence one more time just in case anybody missed that one. The Twitch user tells this ex-Twitch partner manager that they do not want to report anything to Twitch.
They don't want to report anything to Twitch. Okay. They say that. Also, based off of what he just said, he is reading a response. We'll come back to that later. He said, let me read that again. Let me make sure that's what he said. I don't want to say that and then it's not true.
And just a few months later, that ex-Twitch partner manager is directly involved with getting me banned. Coincidence? The Twitch user tells the ex-Twitch partner manager that they do not want to report anything to Twitch. I'll repeat that sentence one more time just in case anybody missed that one.
Sorry, I was wrong. He didn't say that he was reading it.
The Twitch user tells this ex-Twitch partner manager that they do not want to report anything to Twitch.
Okay, so the user, the person that he was messaging, said that they didn't want to report anything to Twitch. Okay, I think that is important, but again, if they're a minor, maybe they don't want to get involved in this. So both sides of the story there, this doesn't really matter.
But this ex-Twitch partner manager encourages the user and even directs them to file a report directly with Twitch, even though the user told him clearly that we never physically met anywhere and that no photographs were exchanged. On June 24th, 2020...
Dude, you need to show these messages, and even like all of this just sounds like it's beating around the bush. Okay, there's no messages. There was no plan to meet up. What did you say then? Like,
Twitch's special operations team receives and reviews the user's report. They find no issues and determine that it did not warrant any further escalation to Twitch's law enforcement response team.
Okay. So then why did it get escalated?
That should have been the end.
Is it like all these like two bad people doing this?
Oh boy, did he had it out. He had it out for the two-time. He finds out that no further action will be taken, so what does he do? He personally escalates the report to a friend on the Twitch's LER team. The LER team, remember, that's the Twitch's law enforcement response team. He escalates the report to a friend on Twitch's LER team. So a day later, on June 25th, the LER analyst pulls the entirety of the whisper messages and begins discussing them with his director of the LER team.
Okay.
Mind you, this director is on vacation at that time and does not have access to their computer or work files.
So I'm assuming this was a part of the court proceedings, finding out that they were on vacation, things like that. Otherwise, I don't know how we'd know this.
Let me just remind you, I went through a multi-year, a big-time arbitration, okay? And,
Whoa.
you know,
Did you catch that? A multi-year, multi-mil big arbitration. Sounds like you got paid out.
A lot of stuff. Mind you, this director is on vacation at that time. The LER analyst cherry picks and sends a few targeted excerpts out of context from the whisper messages to this director.
So a few messages. So it's more than one. It wasn't just one joke.
Now, if you do this, you can make anyone's messages look inappropriate.
But agreed.
Even when they aren't.
Also true.
Within less than 1 hour, this LER analyst and his director have made the decision to suspend me from Twitch. Twitch submits a report to NCMEC. You guys all read those little articles.
This is wild.
Huh? The NCMEC. Twitch submits that report.
Does he say what that is?
The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
Like, what was said? What was said where it gets escalated to that?
Guess what? As far as I know, and over 4 years have passed, they didn't do anything with the report. As far as I know, they didn't escalate Twitch's report to law enforcement. Mind you, the same people that made this decision admit internally that the messages did not constitute sexting. The same people that made this decision at Twitch admit
man, like, okay, so he keeps going over that they didn't, it wasn't sexting. It wasn't. Okay. There's a lot of other things you can say to a kid that are bad. Violent things. You could say inappropriate things. And okay, let's say they're 16 or 17. Maybe there is no way. I do believe that this statement will help his public opinion, but it's not going to clear his name, and it never will. This will be going on for years and years and years. Let's finish it. Then I will give you my opinion. Let's get through the rest
internally that the messages did not warrant any child sexual abuse material charge. Twitch makes this decision to terminate my contract
sexual abuse
and ban
charge.
me, while admitted they did not perform any legal analysis of whether the messages exchanged were illegal in any way. Twitch makes this decision to terminate my contract and ban me while admitting that they never investigated the age of consent in the jurisdiction where the user's messages were sent and received.
Oh, okay.
Twitch makes this decision to terminate my contract and ban me without ever interviewing me, the user, or any other third party, including the partner manager. It's fucking unbelievable!
That is the statement that I was talking about before. So from that, we can extrapolate that this user that he keeps referring to them as is probably 16 or 17, because they were of legal age in the jurisdiction that they were in, avoiding the term minor. And probably he didn't want to put that in his message because that looks bad too. But from that, you can kind of extrapolate those numbers. But again, allegedly. And then this is crazy to me. So then when Doc was banned, he was never interviewed. The user was never interviewed, or any third party was never interviewed. Weird. Yes. And maybe that ban can come down, not a permanent ban, and then they do that investigation. But apparently that never happened, which probably was another reason he settled with Twitch.
I'm not going to get into every detail regarding my legal case, but these former Twitch employees that claim to have firsthand knowledge, they just don't have a clue.
So now what?
They didn't report any facts.
So what are the facts?
The judge in the case determined that the whispers were not illegal.
Okay. That's a fact.
So then why did Twitch use these messages against me? Why did Twitch treat the doc so differently from their other streamers? I mean, outside of the obvious. I mean, just take a look at me. Unfiltered. The realest motherfucker in this industry. 6'8", gorgeous, athletic, successful, college degree, college athlete, bourbon business, gaming studio, beautiful family. And trust me, we've worked hard for over a decade to improve as a person, a husband and father, and to get where we're at today. I mean, I'm in such a good place.
You're in such a good place? But I think the biggest thing there is he's referring to his past, cheating on his wife, as he's moved forward and become a better person. And man, it is really hard when someone has a track record, when something comes out, to just take their word for it. Whether you're his wife, whether you're his fan, whether you're his friend. Track record, man. It's a big thing.
Today. And all these people, they all act like they're just so perfect. I'm not perfect.
Good thing to say. Nobody is perfect.
I don't claim to be perfect. Sometimes I do. But I also didn't do all the shit that they're saying I did.
That I do
But
believe.
then that doesn't make a story, right?
But that doesn't also mean you're
They wanted
completely
media
innocent.
attention. The media wants controversy. And by sensationalizing all of this with big, inaccurate headlines like sexting and sexually explicit, you all got what you wanted at the expense of the two-time.
Are you
The
going to
reality
sue them?
is, they wanted to cut down the doc. Plain and simple. Take a look at some of these horrendous acts of Twitch streamers that were never banned. I've got some examples right here.
So he's passing the buck now and saying, okay, other people did things and didn't get banned. This is what they are.
Example number 1. A streamer that frequently used the N-word while publicly streaming, which constitutes a violation of Twitch's policies if accompanied by hateful intent. Twitch scheduled a meeting with the streamer to ascertain his intent to determine whether his conduct was a violation of Twitch's policies, ultimately determining it was not a breach of Twitch's policies.
Okay.
Why wasn't I called into a meeting?
You should have been.
Why wasn't my intent taken into consideration, champs?
That I agree with.
Example number 2. Streamer was reported for discussing doing things with deceased animals and discussing pedophilia, all while live streaming. Never
Ooh.
suspended, but instead given a multi-million-dollar contract.
Someone huge.
Example number 3. Streamer was reported for a sexually explicit stream involving children and telling children to send Snapchats of them playing with themselves.
What?
Never suspended, but instead, given a multi-million-dollar contract.
Who are these people?
It's so obvious that certain Twitch executives, employees involved had personal biases against the doc
Sure.
and used all of this as an opportunity to terminate my contract. Go back and look at the timing of all this too. The doc's termination lines up with 2 preferable, profitable, and expensive streamers leaving Mixer.
Oh,
As soon as Twitch
that's a crappy thing to say. That just throws Ninja and Shroud under the bus. That's not their fault, man. Like, sure, maybe that's a part of the reason. I don't see that being the case. The more big streamers on their platform, really the better for Twitch, right? But that's that's just gonna throw Ninja and Shroud under the bus. I don't like that.
knew that Mixer had failed. And go look at the timing. These other expensive streamers needed a new streaming platform. So Twitch rushed through its decision to terminate the two-time. You see, I shouldn't even be banned from Twitch. It has affected us on so many levels. Back in 2020 and now in 2024.
So what are you going to do?
And Cody Connors, I just have to say it again. Why would you do this?
So what, are you going to sue him?
Like I said,
defamation?
this was handled professionally years ago. No fucking wrongdoing. But because of you, Cody, we just lost. Fuck, man. Unfortunately, we have to lay off people from Midnight Society.
Okay, so there was monetary loss. Like, to me, this sounds like defamation would be the right response by Doc, right. But let's see how he finishes.
Because of you, Cody.
Maybe he is going to say that. Because I don't like that. If he did something wrong, and I'm not saying he did, but if he did something wrong, to be like, this is because of you, Cody. It's like, no, it's because of your actions in the first place. But if none of this is true, and it is Cody's fault because he lied about it, that's where defamation comes in. That's where monetary losses are his fault and for not a legitimate reason, and you should sue.
You know, through all this, we are where we are. And like a fucking man, I'll accept it. What I don't accept is sitting quietly by and let these idiots attack me with false accusations. No. For all these doc haters out there too, oh man, the ones that project and project and project and project and worry about everyone else's problems, right? I can't understand that mindset. I could care less. We've always stayed in our lane. But somehow, some way, these people, they just get in our lane. For all you doc haters, I'm sure you'll dissect all of this and still find a way to publicly criticize me. Do what you need to do. I'll say this isn't for you. This was for my team today, my community, my friends, la familia that have supported me. And I'm not denying the exchange of whispers, champs. I'm not denying that to all of you out there. It looks bad. I have no way of knowing if the Twitch user thought our exchange of whispers was inappropriate. If it was, I apologize. All I know is that
super weird to me that I guess maybe he doesn't have access to it because he doesn't have access to his Twitch, but those messages, man, they could save you.
Never did what Twitch, Cody Connors, or the public is claiming that I did. That's it. I'm not saying anything more about any of this, right? Unless I need to, because trust me, I have more I haven't disclosed.
Oh, tune in next time. Next time on the doc.
I just want to get back to what we do best. Put on a show and climb our way to the tippity top of the mountain, man. In our own lane.
Is that it?
That's it.
All right, that's it. So, wow. Whether he did it or not, I think there are two things we can take away here. He was messaging someone. This person, seemingly based off of what he said in this and what he tweeted, was probably either 16 or 17. Most likely at that time. He said in that jurisdiction, they were not a minor. They were of age of consent, I think is what he said. Number two is he probably said something inappropriate. Whether that was a joke, whether that was flirting, whatever that was, he said something. that some people could perceive as inappropriate. It was not sexting, according to him. And on top of that, there was no plan to meet up. I think those two things are confirmed. Just the way that he was saying them and all of that. Now, that doesn't mean you didn't do something wrong. And it also doesn't mean you did something wrong. But what is clear is someone did something wrong. Whether that be Cody Connors or Doc, someone did something wrong. And I think that is the most important part, is someone should be in trouble for this. But we don't have all the information. So how can any of us decide who that person in the wrong is? Doc, there's two things that he could do. Thing number one is release the messages. I don't know if he has them. I'm assuming his lawyers do. Release the message. Show the world what you actually said and let us be the judge of if you did something wrong or not. I'm assuming there's a reason why he's not releasing them, but again, we don't know. Number two, if this is all false and you lost money for this, your company lost money for this, you can sue for defamation. That is why that exists. And if you did, and you win for this, number one, just suing alone tells me, okay, he is standing by this. Whatever Cody Connor said or Twitch did was wrong. And maybe there is a chance that maybe he can't sue because he's already had this lawsuit with Twitch and maybe Cody Connors falls under that. That is possible. I'm not a lawyer. You'd have to ask the legal eagle about that one. But as far as what I see is just, this should be a new lawsuit. He's saying more things about him. He should be able to sue for monetary losses. But again, we haven't seen that. So those are the two things in my mind that can actually help the Doc out. Show the messages or sue. One of those two. That's the only way you're going to clear your name. Look at Johnny Depp. Look what happened with that trial. He didn't sue or do that trial necessarily to make money off of it. He did that trial to save his name in the court of public opinion. And look at it. It really, really did. Now, there's one other side of this that I want to point out. And that is this tweet right here from Nick Merckx. I can't read the second word because I don't think it's allowed on any platform. But this Dr. Disrespect is married with children, pushing 40, admits to texting a minor inappropriately. His words, not mine. So I cut ties because obviously that's inexcusable. Now I'm a shit friend for not having his back. Bunch of brain rot morons on this app. I'm going to be honest with you. I do feel for Nick Merckx. I feel for Tim the Tap Man here. What are they supposed to do? They're friends with Doc. And then this news comes out. And then they hear it, and Doc gives his statement saying that he texted a minor. That was his statement. Now, whether he did that to trick the media or not, that is what he said. So, of course, Nick Merckx, Tim the Tap Man, Ninja, all these people who are friends with Doc are going to publicly come out and say, okay, this can't happen. This is not okay. You can't be doing that. And he said that he did, so I'm going to cut ties with him. Now, a lot of people are saying, why didn't they have a call with the Doc? Why didn't they call him and be like, hey, man, what's going on here? One of two options. Number one, they didn't. Number two, they did. Doc didn't answer. Number three, they did. Doc did answer. And what they heard, they didn't like. And does it come down to money with them? Potentially. They could have lost sponsors. They could have lost all of this. If I was Doc and I knew I didn't do anything wrong, I would have reached out to these friends and be like, hey, listen, you're going to go through hell over this if you have my back. Just separate yourself from me. You don't have to say anything. This is going to work itself out. I'm going to sue some people. Things are going to come to fruition and I'll be all good. But if you need to separate yourself from now, I'm your friend. I got you. You can even say that you don't want to be a part of, but that's not what happened here. Because clearly Nick Merckx is doubling down on the Doc bad guy thing. And again, we don't have all of the information. Maybe he will sue. Maybe he won't. I think him not showing the messages and not suing in the long run will be what shows us what actually happened here. And I don't think we'll ever know to the full extent, but I think you can pretty solidly hold on to that. Messages come out or sue for defamation. Those are the next two things to look at. If that doesn't happen, the call is your own. And I'm not going to tell you how to think. I'm not going to tell you what's right or wrong in this. I'm just trying to show the facts and say what will actually help Doc if these things that were said are not true. But I want to hear what you guys think. What is your opinion? Let me know down in the comments. I just kind of tried to throw all this out there. It actually ended up being a lot longer than I thought. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. And I promise you, it won't be as controversial as this one. Peace.